For the upcoming Frontera Fest, which begins this weekend in the downtown area, one of the most respected Hispanic civil rights leaders will be honored with a special musical.
The bare minimum is not what we chose to see. The struggle is how we're shaped when our future was at stake. Came to this.
Yeah, this is the hip-hop musical Hector. Similar, they say, to the musical Hamilton. It's based on the life of Dr. Hector P. Garcia. Dr. Hector, as you may know, received a Presidential Medal of Freedom and numerous other honors and tributes. He founded the American GI Forum here in Corpus Christi and is simply widely recognized as a civil rights pioneer.
This man dedicated his life to civil rights. He dedicated his life to making sure that Latinos had equal access to education. It was his passion. It was everything that was important to him.
Sure was. And he was just a nice man beside that. The first thing they did today was to get permission from Garcia's daughter, Cecilia Garcia Akers, who you may know wrote a book about her father, and that book is now the basis of this hip-hop musical. They teamed up with local hip-hop artists to research and tell his story.